I know it's what 12:28 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so it's Monday now. But we're at a breaking point here where I wanted to do this, at least before the morning. So even if this only ends up being a half an hour or so as it's approaching, the late hours, I wanted to make sure that we're on the same page. And from the live earlier, we talked about this back test at 101,600. We had gone down as much as just below 99,000, but this was the appropriate area to have a back test. And the reason why we thought that is because this is where that fell out of the pattern formation. So now to get further confirmation, Bitcoin would look to get rejected here. So we thought that it would come back up to around the 101,800. And even if there's only 10 people in here during this live, it doesn't even matter. I'm just so appreciative for all of you that I don't mind coming on here at 12:30 in the morning. And even if I'm just talking to myself, which I know there will be more people, but it's still worth it because everybody will be able to see this even after when they watch it later. In the Eurozone and on that side of the world, it definitely might be a little bit easier for some to watch, but it's a lot easier for. I was talking in the Telegram for a little bit, just back and forth with a bunch. I love the Telegram. There's so many cool people in there, but I felt like this would be a more appropriate way to just give a little bit of a insight into what I'm seeing. I know I shared some charts in there, but not everybody's in the Telegram. But we are at that point now. We broke down out of this initially, but now it's either going to be a back test and then a retracement back down, probably to that gap area, the CME gap on the Chicago Mercantile Exchange at 91,800 region. But if we could get some volume here, Nick's been talking a lot about this in the Telegram, and it's why I haven't interrupted him, because there's no reason for me to add to it if he's telling that side of it. He's showing the bullish side. He's also talked about the bearish side, but he's given a great rendition of what the bullish side of town would look like. And it would, in fact, be to get back over this. And, you can go from farther, but I like it like this because that's where it actually came down. I know you can bring it farther across, but to me, this is farther back. We had the resistance, support, resistance, and then we came through support. Now are we coming back up through here? Because that's why I wanted to come on exactly at this point, because it's at that make it or break it line. I think we said 101,800 because we were prophesizing it out just a little bit farther. It was just above here because there's actually retest above as well. Because you have the death cross, and I know we were going for this up here. If it did come past here, we were talking about, seeing if we get a rejection up a little bit higher at 102,600 range. So those are the next two layers. So that's why I wanted to come on, just in case, let's say we do blow through here overnight. I want to make sure that we're paying attention to, we have to make sure we hold the re-break over this, and also getting on top of the 200-day, which would put us around 104,500, ultimately to reverse this and then bring us back up to 109,400. That would be the bullish scenario. The bearish can happen in one of three ways. One, we get rejected right here and just pull down. Two, we can't hold the 20-day for any length of time. Or three, we come all the way back up for an overzealous retest of the 200-day, which happens a lot. It really does happen a lot. The only thing that concerns me is we came down here the first time and then powered back through and immediately came out of the formation. Now, that could just be because maybe the pattern hasn't fully developed, and maybe it does end up in some kind of a weird, not weird, but more like a flag, like a bullish flag. But that's with what's being created now. So we're just looking at the short setup here to see if it can lead us into something. Now, if we go farther back, I'll be honest, this is why if you go farther back, it's important, because now it brings it up a little bit higher. You see what it does here? Because I'm going up to this first wick, not necessarily down to the second, unless you're looking at it, and I don't think it makes sense, because this makes sense if you want to come back here and do something like this. But then look how it kind of drags this out. I'd rather have this resistance area set up either one of two ways. Either you're coming up through here, because either way I think it's appropriate to come up through that area. Whether you come up farther or you come from here and connect the dots, I think this is the appropriate way. If you're trying to get the entirety of the pattern, would be like that. If not, you just shorten it like I just showed, and then it would just go from here, and it would connect here anyhow. It's still the same resistance line. It just, right now, it'll pull it up, if you look at it this way, up to, and I think that makes sense because look where that back test is. And sometimes I try to follow the reality, but look where that back test is at. So I said 101,600. See, this is the exact reason I needed to go live, because the truth is when you remeasure it from the back like this, it actually brings you right to the retest of the death cross. So I think that's more appropriate. So 102,600. So, you know, that's why it's important, you know, to be live and to be, that we need to do it like that. Because just examining it, it makes more sense to have it like that. Because you even had to fall out twice, and now it would be a legitimate back test. And you can see where it's in the death cross moment, so I do think that's more appropriate. All right, let me say hi to everybody real quick, because I don't know how long this is going to last. I'm just glad we're able to be together. Aaron, welcome in. Thank you so much, so very much, my friend, for tuning in. Your comment I can't see, but I know I said something to you because you were the first comment on here. Interesting. Areli, welcome in, and thank you so much for being here again this evening. It's been a blessing to see you in here all the time now. Beautiful. George, Athana's, George, Papa Wheelie, Crazy Paul. Thank you, all three of you, for being in Tom's Zone for 6+ months with the XRP Predictor. Mosey here, good evening, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 1 year, along with CJ2 Pilot. Thank you both so much for that dedication. Devin, welcome in. Always beautiful and a blessing to see you in here, my friend. Thank you, my brother, so much for being in Tom's Army for over 2 years with the XRP 589 Moonbeds, and a very trusted mod, and also knows a lot about this stuff too. A lot of us do. A lot of the people I just read the names of, you know, have a very interesting dynamic that they can bring in here that's unique. King, welcome in. Tom is working late. Let's go. I like to work late. My son just fell asleep, and I figured I could give a good half hour or so, if at the very least. Hayden, welcome in. Thank you, Tom, for the videos. May God bless you and your family. Really appreciate that, and God bless this whole audience. I love hearing people speak our Lord and Savior, because, you know, when you have more than one person who preaches the word or speaks the name, God becomes present, and then our actions are more means more. Scott, welcome in. You're welcome, my friend. Thank you all as well, because it's a team effort. I don't see everything, but a lot of you see stuff that I don't see, and it's taught me a lot. If you go back to my 2021 videos to now, there's been 4.5 years of, obviously, we've been studying this market, and being here every day helps. But I've learned a lot in the terminology terms too from a lot of this audience. It's pretty incredible. It's not just a one-way street. This is a two-way street where we give and take, and it's awesome. Crypto adoption coming. What's going on, my brother? Hope you're having a blessed early AM here where I'm at. It's 12:36 a.m. Kelly, welcome in. You are welcome. I'm glad to see you in here again as well. That name's becoming more and more familiar to me. Frisky Auto, welcome in. A made alive, and a late one at that. Isn't that kind of funny how that works? It's awesome. I love seeing that there's about 70 people in here, so it's awesome. Stephen G, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for your second month with the Dusty Dados Crypto News. 11:30 p.m. here, the only time I have time to watch. Ooh, Stephen. So if I did lives at around 12 a.m., if I did, let's just say I did a 20 or 30 minute live at 12 a.m., this would be a better time frame for you, because I don't think I could do an hour every day, because we have to get up, you know, I have to be up by 7. But I definitely think I could give a good half hour at this time. That's interesting, because you're not the first person who said that they can, you know, tune in when it's later but not earlier. So that's worth it in itself if you're able to tune in, seriously. John Page, welcome in. XRP King, thanks. What time is it at the moment at yours? Here, let me do the intro. Good evening. 12:37 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Monday, June 23rd, 2025. I'm XRP Future Millionaire, and I reside in the great state of Michigan. So it is 12:37 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on this Monday now. Last Monday, no, there's one more Monday in June. What am I talking about? Second to last Monday in June. JOB just buying today. Hey, there's nothing wrong if you found a spot, because look how it's been bouncing around. It's definitely been bouncing around. Can you please talk a little bit about Hbar? What do you think? Please, thanks, Tom. Oh, no problem. I definitely need to talk more about Hbar. It filled out that bear flag, so I'm undecided right now. It filled out. Remember, I had this out for the bear flag drop. It's actually, it's so funny because look how it created this right on the drop. So this is where we're going to find out a lot. I don't know what the right answer is here. Unless we get some volume across the board. And this Hbar chart, the only problem with this one is for some reason it doesn't show a lot of volume on it. So it comes and goes. But if I go to another one, let's just say Coinbase, it'll have the volume. But it's tough. It's so tough right now. Because it filled out that area perfectly. Now, if I'm looking at it on a map where there's nothing here, and then I'm like, all right, Tom, what are you looking at here? So first I'm going to come up here, nothing to see there. So then I'm going to come down here. And I'm going to try to connect the dots and go, okay, well, we've been in this downtrending resistance just like this. So until we get over that, first off, until we get over that, we got to make sure it's pretty precise. Otherwise, it does us an injustice. But XRP King, until we get over this, we're bearish. You know, this has been the bearish rejection point. But eventually, it's gonna break that rhythm. And the interesting thing is that if you come from here, and I don't necessarily like to do this, but you can see an overextended channel that's been formed. Now, I think it's pretty clear. I mean, I don't think we even have to debate it. We can all see that channel, right? So if it doesn't break the resistance, I mean, look how far down this would technically come. That could come all the way down to 6.5 cents. Now, however, if I start to just, and I don't even know if it's professional to do it this way, but this is how I get that second. You go from here and you get rid of the two bottom wicks, right? You go here, you cut through here, and then you start cutting through. Now, if you look at it like that, it gives you a slightly different dynamic here, doesn't it? So I'm not sure exactly which way I should be approaching this. But either way, I know if this is kind of like a wedge setting up, and this was just overzealous, and then you actually had pulled up in here, pulled back up, pulled back up, pulled back up, and then you start using this as the support, and down below it does bounce, but it always bounces back up outside of the smaller wicks. Because if you go into the higher time frames, like a weekly, you're going to see what I mean. Even in the daily, you'll probably see it. But see how those just pull right back in? So it's more like the wick is coming through. Even in the daily, you'll be able to see it better. It's essentially pulling back through. We had a little bit of an overzealous pull down, but other than this little inverse setup, the rest of it was just wick pull down, wick pull down. So you can look at it both ways. So this will tell you if this squeezes and we don't break out, it'll come down here. If we break out, then we got a few layers that we can look at. We'll first look at 18, then we'll start looking at the shorter sections, and then we'll start looking for a full retest back up around 30, and then it can come a little bit higher. But that's how you would approach this, in my opinion. I think you would approach this by looking at it saying, okay, it could be a descending wedge if you take the inner track and not the wicks. But if you take the outside, then obviously it formed a channel that has 3 hits there, so it already validated the pattern both ways. So the question is this a death cross, and does this get wedged out here and it breaks down, or does it break bullish out of a descending wedge, or is it still part of a larger falling channel, which could also be kind of assimilated as almost like, I don't know though, that would be a pretty stretched out, I don't know if you can call it a bull flag, but that does look like a Batman top, which is scary. So you did take the elevator up and you're taking the steps down, and whenever I say that, people laugh sometimes because of the way I say it. But it's true, though, because you have two options. You either take the steps up and the elevator down, if you're going to come back down for correction, or you take the elevator up and you take the steps down. Now, if I was taking the steps, is that about a stair stepper right there if I've ever seen it? So that's why I like to do that analogy. You know, that's really why I like to do that analogy. But I really hope that helps. I'm going to keep this chart on here. But I realized 3 days ago that being the passive-aggressive prick is not the way to go. Even if it sounds funny, even if it made me, like I was making a point, I didn't like it. I listened to that playback, and I know my son, who's autistic and special needs, listens to my stuff. And he's about to be 6, and I was not, even though I understood why I was doing what I was doing, I wasn't proud of the moment. So that's why you've heard a different tone the last couple of days. I don't like that passive-aggressive tone. I think we can all do better together. I know it sounds cheesy, but just in the world I live, there's a reason for it. So for that, I appreciate you guys embracing what I do, for real. So XRP King, I hope that helped. I hope that was a nice little breakdown to where you're like, okay, you know, that makes a little more sense. We are tightening up, so it's hard for Tom to say whether or not we're going to break out, but at least we've got the parameters. So then I'll look, because I seen some, whoa, that's a sizable donation. And joining Tom's army with that, oh, I'll definitely go to your comment in just a sec. I just don't want to cut off King real quick. Because then I'll lose track, and you know, I think this can help everybody. I'm a big fan of Hbar too, so you know, there's going to be a sizable purchase here soon. At some point, whether we get confirmation one way or the other, it doesn't really matter to me. I just want that confirmation. All right, let me focus. I'm a little tired, as you can imagine. I'm not terrible though. I'm actually not too bad. So we'll put this right around here for that price label. Yeah, right about there. Now we're going to clone this. If you're doing this on your own, this is an easy way for you to do it. Just clone it. And this will give you the up-to-the-minute price label. So, especially wherever you want it. So that's basically what you're looking at. If we can hold the support structure around 11,993, we could bounce up as we're trying to do to 15.7. And I put 11,993 because that puts us out in the future to about the end of June. So obviously we'll straddle back and forth. If it breaks through a little bit quicker, maybe it comes through 12 cents, right? But then 15.7 over the top. And if this breaks, then it's already telling us the predetermined target down. And this is how I try to do my analysis when I'm doing it independently. And then it's telling us we could have about a 50% dump. Now, if that happens, it's going to be pretty interesting. But that's the way I would look at that. So that was some nice due diligence there on Hbar. So good question. So far, we've answered the stuff with Bitcoin and Hbar. Now, we'll get into XRP too. I want to get down to... let's see. Yibichi, welcome in. What do you think of RSR? I don't know. I know a little bit about it, but I'm not like an expert on it by any means. So I'm not exactly sure what to think. We've had some discussions on it. There's been a few people that have come through my audience over the years that have talked about it. I just don't have a good grasp on it, if I'm being honest. Cambo Vision, welcome in, and good morning from the Netherlands. Excellent. Look at that. We got a beautiful crowd here. Just a beautiful crowd. Devin has been stacking Casper and buying more DGB. DGB came down. It's at 7.2. So, I mean, anything under a penny and the farther under a penny it gets, I mean, it's getting into good areas. It's definitely getting into good areas. Very desirable ones. It's all an illusion. Welcome in. Thank you so much for being in Tom's Army for over 6 months with the XRP Predictor. And Hayden Milhan, thank you so much for becoming the newest member of Tom's Army. You're in your first month with the emoji badge of me being abducted by aliens. And I know it's your first month because that's my face superimposed on that emoji badge. I kid you not. That emoji badge has my face superimposed on there if you zoom in far enough. And you just made me the happiest person in the world today. And the funny thing is my day's only started for 46 minutes because we just flipped the clock here on the East Coast and the Monday. And now it's guaranteed to be a spectacular day. No matter what happens, good or bad, you put that positive aura. It's amazing. Let's see. You're welcome, XRP King. Papa Wheelie says, hate him with the muscle flex. Smooth. And CJ True Pilot welcomed in. Hayden, that's awesome. Hayden Millen says, I've watched hours of your videos and I need to pay it forward. Dude, like, Hayden, thank you so much for saying that. I really appreciate that. Like, for me, the pay it forward mentality is everything. Like, it hits you different when you're trying your hardest and then people are like, dude, you're doing a good job and here's some monetary. It's not, I don't know. I love seeing the members of Tom's Army, and it's just, I don't know, it makes you feel a certain kind of way. So it's like I came on late and then it's like this kind of stuff happens. Like, it tells you, you put the effort in, and some people need it and some people appreciate it. And also a 49, you certainly didn't have to do either one of them, but I'm so gracious you did both. Hell, even one, but $49.99 on top of joining Tom's Army, that's incredible. Thank you so much, my friend, seriously. That's a incredibly generous donation. You know, some people, I mean, it used to be me, to make $50, you know, you're talking about at least 2.5 hours of solid work. For some, you know, it's 4 or 5 hours after, especially after taxes. So, like, I don't even know how to show the proper gratitude, except like I told somebody in the comments before I started, the best way of showing my appreciation is by being here. with all of you. Not just doing updates, but actually being here with all of you. So thank you. Seriously. Thank you so much. Let's see. Oh, it was very cool of Hayden. Wasn't it, Devin? Unbelievable. Frankie Fresh, welcome in, and thanks for being in Tom's Army for over 3 months with the XP Meteor. Oh, it is late. And good early morning to you, my friend. I know it's late for you as well. I just thought we could put out some information here right before, you know, we go to bed on the East Coast, and while some are waking up, or I mean in the U.S. while we're going to bed, while some are waking up on the other side of the world. The King's coming says, great job, Tom. Thank you very much, my friend. You are not dreaming, Frankie Fresh. We are actually here. I was just talking in the Telegram for like 20 minutes, and then it hit me. I'm like, you know what? If they're talking to me in the Telegram too, they would like to hear me talk. And I'm sure others are probably thinking the same things. Oh, I'm glad it helped XRP King, the Hbar part. That's about the most detailed I've done in a while. It gives me a great perspective of it. Of paying attention to maybe it isn't a descending wedge, and we'll just have to pay attention if we do get some volume in. And then we would have to make a decision in the next like 15-20%. Or if it falls out of it, we can see how there could be anywhere from like a 40 to 50% drop, which would be interesting. And it's rough with the market right now. It's like it's almost speaking to something more, but at the same time, we haven't got that proper validation yet on Bitcoin for the rejection. It's just so weird. It's not that we haven't got the validation, but it's like if you look at it in the daily, look where that candle started. So actually that started on a bearish back test. The 4-hourly is trying to come back up for confirmation. Look at the death cross there. The other thing that's scary here, guys, and don't overlook this. So if you're going short, please, if it comes over like the 200-day here, and let's just say it overtakes 104,500, you got to get out of the way, unless you're very, very, very understanding. But if you're going long right now, this is the let's have a talk. If you're taking a leverage long right now, you better make sure that this breaks over, because right now you've not only got the short-term pattern flip in the 4-hourly with the death cross, 20 cross, and the 200. Now you don't have validation. Well, you have validation, but you don't have confirmation. So you get the short-term pattern flip signal. So we get the signal when the 20, this is the way I look at it. When the 20 breaks to 200, you have a death cross. That's your signal. You get validation when the 50 crosses the 200. You get the full confirmation when the 100 crosses the 200 that it's a full-term pattern reversal. And sometimes it does fake you out because it'll bring it all the way through just to shoot it right back up, and then it's like, oh, well, you know, that's why it's a lagging indicator after all. So now we're trying to see, is this death cross telling us something in the 4-hourly that, and look how far we've kind of overdumped here. And if you look at this, we've kind of overdumped here. And yeah, we've shown how you can put it into a channel, but in all intents and purposes, this is how I think you have to look at it. So now we've looked at Hbar, we've looked at Bitcoin. Now, what does that mean for XRP? Because certainly, you know, it's already, has it really been 23 minutes? Holy shit. It's really been 23 minutes. I babbled on, well, I know it was good babble today. But man, I looked, I'm like, it's almost 1 o'clock now? Holy crap. So let's see. XRP USDT. And this is why I keep saying I think it's at that break point right now. Whether we're, and this is the beauty of it. See how we're kind of at that $2 Mendoza line if you bring it out into like Monday. Now if we can hold this immediately will shoot us up. Like we actually have a gap here. And I'm not talking about like a gap with tenths of a fair value gap. I just mean a gap from the uptrend to the back test of the pattern. And that's about a 10% gap. So even if bearish, there is a chance we could start using it. Remember, I don't know how many of you have been around for a long time, but some of you have in the audience. I know because I recognize your names and you've been in Tom's Army for a long time. Remember how a pattern converges, and sometimes we talk about that inside out wedge that starts to form, support, resistance, support, and then it starts to like kind of use it as a wedge, a newfound wedge, and then it does this until it breaks up or down. I kind of feel like it started to do that inside out wedge, and that can be dangerous when you're looking at a short-term pattern, because if it's flipping to the bearish side and that's starting to form that means it's becoming more volatile. And it's trying to recover those losses, but every time it does, it ends up farther down. And if that's the case, You know, that's also not a great sign. Um, we have to continue to say that geopolitical turmoil is something, but we had a strong feeling this morning in the live, or was it this afternoon? Yeah, late this morning, that after that big drop down near 98,000 or 99,000, I know it came down a little bit farther, but ours was at like 99,200. No, I think once it came to 98,900 on the air, but then it straddled around 99,200 and 700. And that's when I said, you know, we kind of got to look at this a different way, because if I was going to go looking at the market and I'm just the average retail trader with how far it dropped, you would just say, oh, you know what, on Bitcoin, I'm just going to short this, or XRP. So it made it the logical choice to backtest it and liquidate the ones that, like, kind of like the Johnny come lately. So that was our contrarian view. Like, okay, if we're in shorts, we have to get out of it. And then we'll see if the backtest plays, and then we could always get back in it if we were in profit, you know? And that's the way I approached it with my own trades. And it wasn't because I was afraid or anything like. I just knew that at some point we had to have this back test, and we secure the profit. And then if we want to continue the short and it gets the back test appropriately, there's nothing, no harm, no foul. But then just on the off chance that it runs back up, and let's just say it has an overzealous run back up to the 200-day and then falls through. Now you can essentially get it back in where we were. I opened mine at 105,000, just under 100. And now you're talking it would be within $600. But what I'm seeing here doesn't give me a lot of hope that we're going to get a big bullish bounce, just because that volume, like that volume continues to, it's like you're walking down the street and you see a guy on the other side of the road. I don't give a shit what color he is. It's dark, you know, so, but if he looks like he's reaching for something in his pocket or he's got a weapon on him, I'm going to proceed with caution. If I'm walking across the road, I see the guy pushing a stroller with his kid. Again, I don't care what the fuck color he is. It's night. I'm probably going to be less, you know, my defenses aren't going to be up as much because it's a family guy, supposedly, at least you're hoping so. But initially, your alarm's not going to be raised like somebody else who you think might have a weapon or looks like a criminal or whatever the case may be. Again, it doesn't matter what color, because at the end of the day, you decide your fate. It doesn't matter what color you are. So whether you're a good or bad person has no. What does it matter if I'm Indian, Italian, African American? It doesn't matter, because you decide that, your own integrity. But it's the same thing with the market. You end up looking at this and you're like, okay, well, maybe I should proceed with caution because, one, it fell out of the pattern. Two, I'm still, for a drop this far, I'm still not seeing any volume. And then it's like, well, Tom, it's a thinly traded weekend. I get that, but look at the dump volume on the same thinly traded weekend. Even at 611 Bitcoin, that was something. And look at the bounce back. It's pedestrian at best. I mean, you're talking about we could only muster up 169 Bitcoin. At least it's only in the first hour. Well, that was the 4 hours. Now this one we've got in the first hour, a whole 21 Bitcoin. That's not going to get the job done. See what I'm saying? That's not going to get the job done. This is basically begging. It's begging for somebody to buy this, even though there's no. Oh man. Oh man, if it dumps 50%, Hbar's at 6 cents. I'm just saying, if Hbar goes to 6 cents, I know for a fact, I would buy $6,000 worth no matter what. I'd buy at least 100,000 tokens, and I would be jumping for fucking joy. Oh, excuse me. I'd be jumping for joy, because I know in these next drops, it's really gonna set us up for the next chapter here, just like 21 did, and then 23. Especially 23, and then the 24 drop as well. When we got that last shot right before November. This one's going to be something different, just because of where the levels it's at. And then for some that haven't bounced, now we have to make a decision like, okay, well, these are going to be at the lower than 2021 or 2023 bear markets on a lot of these. That's the crazy part. Some of these are either going to be equal to 23 or lower. Frankie Fresh says, welcome to the Army, Hayden. Absolutely, Hayden, and also for that very generous donation. He says, Frankie Fresh says, we love you, Tom. My girl, Janine, and I can't get enough of you. Oh, beautiful. Janine, thank you so much for that vote of confidence as well. It's one thing for Frankie Fresh to say it, but when his lady friend says it, or his girl says it, his significant other, I should say, that definitely it hits a higher note. Not that I don't respect Frankie Fresh, but you guys get it. You get it. It means a lot to me when the partners of the ones who watch me actually become entertained, even if they don't trade in the space or they know nothing about crypto. Do you know how many people tell me they just watch me because they like me and they don't even trade crypto? They don't like it. It always, I never thought of that angle. Like, oh, people are actually watching me even though they don't do crypto. I'm just assuming everybody watches for XRP. And then I come to find out that a lot of people are just watching because of my personality, and that actually makes you feel a certain kind of special, I must say. So, Janine, thank you so much. If I would have known you were watching, I would have done my hair. Let's see. If we get rejected here, we'll come down to that uptrend. And that's what I'm waiting for. Like, that's why this is so important for us to just have a little discussion. And it's been a half hour. I'm not quite ready to go yet. You know what I'll do? I'm going to take a gummy. I like to take a nighttime gummy. Not like melatonin, but it's a special compound. It's a liquid, though. So I guess it's not a gummy at all. It's a liquid. It's an RSO liquid. It's late. It's late. Let me go grab it real quick. Huh. I was wrong again. This RSO, see, I was right. The last one was like a Tari liquid. This one I got when my son was at the hospital in Grand Rapids. I found a dispensary. Well, he wasn't at the hospital, but he, you know, he has his G-tube appointments. We have to go there this Friday, but they had a different kind of gummy, so I bought that. I forgot. This will help you sleep. George says dead cat bouncing. You know, it's kind of looking that way. Papa Willie says I'm long right now. Have extra margin on holding too long. Lower long orders in case it gets wild. Was thinking of opening a short, but think what will be. It would be. I don't really advise somebody to take a long and short leverage at the same time. Now, it's different if you have like a spot position and you want to take a short. But it kind of, to me, if it was a winning formula, I think a lot more people would open up long and shorts at the same time. But it's so difficult because you could literally miss out on both ends before you even blink. Especially like you said, if it gets wild. So I like your approach. You're being cautious with the long, but you're also laddering down in case, you know, it starts to come down a little bit, which is smart. Frankie Fresh says, are we still going lower, or are we thinking about buying something soon? Well, there's no guarantee that it ever goes lower. It's just, you know, what we're thinking could happen. But right now, no. In good confidence, I couldn't buy right here because we haven't got any kind of confirmation of anything. And I haven't got any kind of validation of volume. And as you've seen, Bitcoin's on the bottom side trying to retake some of those higher zones, even though a death cross is formed. XRP, see what happened here? Even if you look at it from this perspective, the breakout, right? Now we're below it, rejecting. As of right now. And the significant thing is, let me finish this RSO gummy so I don't sound like an asshole chewing. But you know, these things are interesting. Not like a normal gummy, they're different. Alright, anyhow. So we're getting that rejection, and that's the biggest problem. Those are the Ralph Sampson gummies, if anybody knows who I'm talking about. I mean the Rick Sim. I say Ralph Sampson, the Rick Simpson. It's late. It's late. Who knows? Maybe I'm crossing the names now. My brain's like, all right, Tom, you've had a long day. We will go down to about 84 and then go up. Ooh, if it goes down to 84 cents, that would be a blessing for some, for sure. Jesus, appreciate your analysis, my friend. George says the slope of hope. I love it. The slope of hope. That is great. But it really is the slope of hope. Now, do you see why if we got some volume here, it could do something? That's why I keep saying, void of volume, we're going to have a problem. But if we could just get some volume, and I know I confused some people earlier, and I apologize. Like the XRP that I have is still on the XRPH wallet with my XRP Healthcare. Now, the XRP I don't have anymore is all of it that I bought at 38. I had bought some at 34, as you know, what I wanted. And then when it gave us that last bounce at 38 cents, I bought $5,000 worth and traded it via the XRP Bitcoin pairing. And then got rid of some, a lot of it over $3, but then I got rid of the rest of it at 234. But I still have my 12 or 13,000 of the original bag on the XRP Healthcare wallet. So I needed to make sure that I clarified that. I told everybody in the Telegram, but I have to make sure that I clarify it for everybody else. Because I think I confused everybody. So it's very simple to know what I own right now. But like an XRP, the 4 hourly, that was a nice 4-hour candle. It just, there's no volume. Like, no matter how nice you want it to be, you'll look at this and be like, oh, it's nice, it's nice. And then all of a sudden this turns into a long leg doji with low sell pressure. And that's when you're like, uh-oh. So we need some volume. That is very pedestrian volume. Like, the one thing you need to take away with this right now is we're having pedestrian volume, and that's never good. Freaking chat won't let me post 184. Why is that? Oh, 184. It'll go down to $1.84. Okay. Now I see what you're saying. The freaking chat wouldn't let you put the dollar in front of it. $1.84 does make sense too. There is this nice support structure right around $1.82 to $1.83 for it. Somewhere in there. That's within the range for sure. That would be, if we break the low that we had today, that would be the next support structure. It bands like $1.84 down to $1.82 roughly. So absolutely on point. Tom, what would you do? I have an ALGO at 32 cents and getting killed. Should I just hold? At this point, you may not have a choice. I understand you're getting killed. You are literally in glorified no man's land because technically it's still over the top of the breakout. That's why this sucks. And this isn't even, I even gave it grace. That's not even measured. Like, it still needs to actually come down, I believe, a little bit lower than I have it measured at. So, like, you are in bona fide, yeah, like that. You're in bona fide no man's land. Because if it does come down, this is why, remember I circled this down to here. But it's really, I mean, look at, that could be like another, that could be like Hbar coming down to 6-7 cents if that actually plays bearish. So I did like this, take the stairs down when we did this last time. And I was showing the bearish. And then where it would have to come, but couldn't even come up to those points. It came a little lower. And now it just seems to be, it's just extending through there, which is crazy how much it's doing this. But let me get rid of some of this so it's easier to see. And then we're going to do a short term real quick for you, my friend, because I respect you. And Frankie, I want to make sure that you have all the information in front of you so that you can make an educated, informed decision as well. So here's your biggest obstacle. One, it's almost impossible for me to tell you to just sell it right now. Because that's a big descending consolidation. If we kind of look at it almost like in a channel, I don't necessarily want to go from here. I almost think it would be more appropriate to do it like this. I think it is. I really do. I think it's more appropriate to do it like that because then you can see that resistance, the peaks that are from. Yes, we already had the one here. But if you look at it like this, you can almost go shoulder, head, shoulder. And then this is almost like the breakdown of that topping part of the pattern. And then you'd come down here. And we're trying to figure out a way to figure out what gets us down if we're going to break down or what breaks us out. So now we've got to try to be strategic here. So now if we come through here, we're trying to get a baseline for like support. Oh, there's a nice baseline just like that. Come through those areas just like that. I really like that. So now you can see this little channel form. So now it's basically, it's a race to, can we break over here at 17.5 cents and break up, or fall through about 14 cents and be the, you know, be the last force here that brings us down to at least down here to 10 cents and then possibly even worse. And the worst part is we didn't backtest this long descending pattern. That's the biggest problem I have. It's very rare that you backtest or you don't backtest something that large. And yeah, it would seem weird because it could even make a new low for algo inside that consolidation. And what would that mean? That we're really just pattern resetting, right? The pattern was right here at 11 cents. It would legitimately reset after a big breakout, and that could be the parabolic spike zone. Now, what you're hoping for is that it doesn't break down and it actually pushes up to 17 and a half and at least retest that 23 to 25 cent range. The problem here is we have no volume. It's kind of alarming that we've gone this far without volume. Now, that inverse head and shoulders, the good news is it's not technically invalidated. It's just, for all intents and purposes, that structure, if that's what you're looking for, has been invalidated because you broke the neckline as it looks. So, I mean, it's not technically broken in the inverse head, but it would have to be something special here volume-wise to get it out of here. You are in no man's land. I feel like this is a no-win situation for you, because what if it does get that bounce? But then again, with no volume and being a dead cat, I mean, the best situation for you would be that it comes up to 17 and a half and prove to be bearish, and at least you could ride it, from here back to the retest or whatever the case may be. It's just being in this channel, it's a difficult spot. It really is a difficult spot. Now, I think it'd be more appropriate to do it like this. And yeah, it's still the same, but I think that's what it's doing. It's tightening up even a little bit. Yeah, definitely. Don't you agree that that probably makes more sense? I think that makes a lot more sense. That's why I went support, 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 support. I think that makes a lot more sense. This will be easier for you to see. So basically, let me do this again, like we did for Hbar. This is easier for me to do right now because I'm not caring about jumping around. I'm just focused on what I'm focused on, and I think this is a good lesson for myself. Stay focused. Don't worry about 8 different charts at once, and just do your due diligence on each, because look what we're looking at right now. I dare say this is the best analysis I've given all day, and that's not saying much because it's only been an hour and 10 minutes. See what I did there? Small joke. So basically we're looking for this to hold 14.94 and break over 18.12. So you want it to hold 14.9 cents, and then you would love it to break out past 18.1 cents. Now you're going to need some volume, and the problem is we're not seeing no volume. So I would hate for you to just sell it, and then it does rebound here, though. It's just, that's why I said you are in a very difficult spot. Now, actually, technically Bitcoin hasn't finished this retest, so I think you're a little soon. I think you can make that decision when Bitcoin gets to 102. I'm pretty confident it gets up to at least 102,500, or not 500. 102. Okay, never mind. I'm pretty confident it'll get up near 102,600 or 500, somewhere in that range, because it's going to backtest this one way or the other. It's just we like to have a little bit of a surge when everybody's sleeping, and then when we wake up, we're like, uh-oh. Winford, you're hoping XRP dip more? It can't yet, though. It has to backtest how it is, just like Bitcoin is. Because if XRP is backtesting, it's done what it needs to do so far. It hit the box. Now it's going to come up and try to prove resistance. And the only way to do that is, one, to get rejected right here at about $2.02, or to come all the way back up here and get a rejection. We need to figure out where we stand right now. The other option is we could come here, because that is a small area at 209. We could technically come there even to get a rejection, or 206. I mean, I think it's 206. I could dare say 209. But yeah, Winford, I know what you mean. I was hoping for it to just take one quick drop to 150 and then have a V-shaped recovery. I get it. But everybody, I don't want to cut this short, but I do need to get some sleep. I got to be up in about, 5 hours and 48 minutes. Yeah, we'll definitely call it a night. Thank you all so much for spending 43 minutes with me. I really, really appreciate it. If I didn't have a special needs son and do everything I need to do, I would, I'd stay on a little bit later, but I'm appreciative for everybody who tuned in, and I think I'm going to do this more often. I know me and my brother, old Vincenzo, we're going to be doing we're going to try to do it at least once a week now that he's home. We've been talking about it. We're going to just, do a live together. And he's got a couple thousand people following him on YouTube. He was gone for a few years because he was out of town. started dedicating a lot towards it the last year or so, and he's found a pretty nice audience, to be honest with you. So it'd be nice. Thank you all so much for the time. I'll see you in the morning, bright and early. Julie told me no gym tomorrow, so I got to listen to my significant other because she knows best. She said we did a lot of work this week and it's been hot, and my body needs a day off, and she'd be mad if I went, so I will not be walking to the gym in the morning. So we'll see what kind of update I do in the morning. I don't know if it'll be a short or if it'll just start out with an update, but we'll figure it out. Have a blessed day, everybody, and thank you for legitimately being the best part of what I do here. Honestly, that goes